Hey, Canopreneurs. Before we get started with today's show, I just want to mention one of our sponsors. Dairy Berry's recording studio, located in Arvada, Colorado, is your local recording studio with affordable rates. Mark is well experienced and will make your show, music, or any audio you have sound great. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome back to the Cannabis Community Project. I am Brainstorm, bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. I'm here exploring the business side of this newly emerging Colorado economy. Here focusing on the business, the patient, the retailer, to the geek in the garage creating that next innovation in cannabis. This is the first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs just like you build sustainable businesses while living the lifestyle. For all of you returning, thank you very much. For those of you who are here for the first time, make sure to like us, follow us, share with your friends and family. You can find us on Google+, Facebook, and all the media platforms from Stitcher to Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, even YouTube. Make sure to follow us because we are talking about not just stoner weed shows. No, my friends. This is not your son's stoner show. This is the Cannabis Community Project. If I had a nickel for every time I had somebody tell me they weren't going to like my page, support me, talk about me, or just flat out refuse to acknowledge what I'm doing because they don't support pot or weed and there's too many space cases out there already, obviously have no clue what they're talking about and have obviously never heard this show. This is a show focusing on business. And if you listened to us last week, that's exactly what we got into with Cannabis Commodities Exchange, talking about the future of how efficiencies in dispensaries, efficiencies in transactions, how businesses are forming with fundamentals of finance and legal bases. Everything that you would talk about with any other entrepreneur or business is what we're talking about here. Matter of fact, I don't think we've ever had a conversation about a strain, a war story. Well, we probably have, I just don't remember. But we don't really talk about anything that's weed or stoner related. So come on, people, get with it. Stop sending me emails and Facebook messages telling me to stop sending you invites to your pot show and all that other ridiculous stuff. Listen to the show and you'll know exactly what we're doing here. And if you don't know what we're doing here, listen to our short-term memory flashback, which we do every week to help us remember what we learned last week before we move forward onto this week. Last week, we talked to Soham, the Cannabis Commodities Exchange, and it was very interesting. It was a good, solid hour or so conversation that really covered everything. If you're a business person, you'll love this show. If you're just a layman who's interested in the industry, this is the show that's going to give you the insight to what's going on here in Colorado. Let's quickly look back to last week's short-term memory flashback and remember what we learned.
Turned down a corporate job to come up here and get into this industry.
What's your background?
I studied finance and management information systems.
Oh, okay. And what is the official name of the business?
It's the Cannabis Commodities Exchange.
Where did you come from?
When we were finishing up our final semesters of our respective schools, my partners in their final semester of law school and myself in business school, but it wasn't so much that, oh, there's a new industry, let's go in there because we can make money. It was more like, this is an industry that we all have something in common in, and something that we all feel very passionately about, and it's an industry that, should we be able to, and in this case the timing lined up perfectly. It's almost like a gift, that we're graduating at the perfect time for this industry to emerge, and it's something that we care about, and it's something that we can potentially apply the skills that we've learned through school into this industry and improve the industry. A lot of the older minds are still fighting that counterculture war, whereas that's what we wanted to bring to the table. But like you said, we came here because, we just want to make money in this or whatever. whatever. It's that same idea that we found an industry that we all cared very passionately about.
When you went into school, what was your intention to do with a business degree?
I'll tell you straight up, I wanted to be an investment banker on Wall Street. I had it all planned out. I was going to work for Goldman Sachs. I was going to make $120,000 a year right out of school, and I was going to be living the high life. The county that I grew up in, Arapahoe County, is a pretty historically conservative county, red county. If you had told me 5 years ago that Arapahoe County would go blue in a presidential election, I would tell you that, yeah, I'm sure marijuana will be legal too. And you know what? Both of those things happened in 2012, so...
That's not a lot of years for
5 years
to walk down the street and literally see corner-to-corner centers and recreational talk. Do you consider yourself a data information business here?
Not right now. We're truly here to provide a service to increase the efficiency of a marijuana licensed business's operations.
I guess maybe if you could open your Rocky Mountain News and there was a section in there, your
index pricing. Yeah,
pricing. Exactly. It would be interesting in the sense of comparison.
Yeah. We have our website. The homepage acts as a landing page from most search engines.
And what is that website? We might as well give that out.
Yeah, it's www.canna, the letter X, change.com. So that's CANNAXCHANGE.com.
Cool. Well, it's been very informative. I've learned a lot, and I was very intrigued when I saw it at the Cannabis Cup. And I think other people are going to be intrigued too. I think this is an interesting idea, and I think it's going to, in general, these type of businesses are going to bring out of the woodwork the investors.
And that's kind of why we picked that.
I think you guys are heroes, actually, and I don't use that word.
Let's hold back on that one. Cannabis Commodities Exchange.
There you have it, the Cannabis Commodities Exchange. Look them up on Facebook, go to their website, learn all about them, and definitely if you are in the industry, meaning legal, license, and in the network, you're going to want to be part of this network because I have a feeling their website is going to be more than just selling and buying what you need. It's going to be literally the difference of dispensaries or centers, whatever you're calling them. It's going to be the difference of their living or dying, because right now we are in a heated battle of competition, a heated battle of regulation, a heated battle of dispensaries, some business people, some not business people, learning the industry, learning the curve, and quite frankly, the majority of them are going to be out of business probably sooner than you think. It's not easy running a business. And it's not easy running a business when you have high overhead and extreme regulation. And that's what really takes to be involved, medical or recreational. Whether you're a center in the recreational or a center that has both medical and recreational, or maybe you're just a little shoebox little store that's trying to sell some pipes and maybe you have something else going on. Whatever you're doing in this industry, it's not easy. And that's the misimpression, is that people think, hey, it's an industry that people want. It's an industry that people are buying. So all you have to do is open your doors and money starts flowing in. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how business works. And I think people are starting to get that little by little. That's why stories like this and every week of the businesses we interview are so important, to hear firsthand what people are going through. So if you have a business or an idea, or maybe just some thoughts about cannabis, contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to discuss these issues at the front of the industry, everything from legal matters, health matters, growing, technology, fundamentals of marketing. How is it different than any other business? Running a dispensary. Is it like running a bar? These are the questions we're going to get to, and we'll even talk about the lifestyle stuff, the music and the food and all the other happenings around the cannabis industry. Specifically focusing here on Colorado, and then little by little, we'll network our way out across the U.S., find out what cannapreneurs around the country are doing. But these are important stories, and I have a feeling that you have a story that you need to tell our audience. Because they're out there listening, and they're out there looking for people to talk to, people to network. You don't have to be scared anymore. You don't have to be scared or hold out for that one loner dude that makes himself brave enough to let it be known what he's doing. Now you can say it. You can say it with pride. I'm part of the cannabis industry, and this is what I do. and let other people come out and meet you and network with you. And together, we'll make this industry strong, we'll make it legitimate, we'll make it professional, and we'll make it profitable. Can't tell you how many times I talk to somebody who says, "Oh, I don't care about profit, man. I'm just trying to do what I like to do." You know, whether it's growing cannabis or blowing glass, doesn't really matter. You don't understand. Business is not about suit and ties and corporation. Business is about organization of daily activities. What are you doing when you wake up in the morning, and what are you doing until you go to bed? And is that enough to sustain a lifestyle? Are those activities you're engaged in paying your rent, your car payment, affording you vacations, and able to send your kids to school? Because if it doesn't matter whether you wear a suit or tie. It doesn't matter whether you think of yourself as a business person or just a hippie who wants to just live the life, man. You got to think about lifestyle and business together. That's the newly emerging hybrid world, and that's where cannabis has taken us. It's teaching us, and it's teaching all of us, how to take a lifestyle and turn it on its head from what it used to be known as in the myths, and now make it a functioning business. And you can wear a tie if you want. There's nothing against that. Matter of fact, I think I would like to walk into a dispensary and purchase from a guy wearing a tie. I'm kind of tired of seeing the same type of person representing this industry. Not that they're bad people, but geez, let's be real about who's representing this industry and let those who are truly out there come out and represent. Volume. Let's try it out. There you were, sitting across the way, looking all alone. It's still there, you stay, as if waiting for something. I don't know. Maybe it was me. Oh, I need a hand to show. Like a beat of poem, all the same. Drew me in, and all I could remember was your name. Let's move on now to what we do every week, where we keep everybody informed about the happenings in the news, Twin News, This Week in News, where we basically steal the news from everybody else, right? We go around all the social media sites, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and a few others, find out what people are talking about in cannabis, and then we kind of steal it and report it and regurgitate it and make it sound like we did some real journalism. But we didn't. Integrity, not sure. I'm very biased, I know that, so I'm definitely not going to report any news stories that are nonsense, or definitely anything that's against what the industry is about here. There's enough science out there where you can find it if you want to, but listen to our show and listen to Twin News to just stay up to the date on what people are talking about out there on the interwebs. This Week in News, Twin News. First up, here we go. Cannabis law reform reporting on CBS Denver's article about the cannabis industry is skeptical of the banking bill and beefs up security. The marijuana industry is skeptical of banking bill after Governor John Hickenlooper, that's our very own Colorado's governor, is expected to sign a bill into law which could create the first regulations for banking. Yeah, we'll see. I'm skeptical. Not because I don't think Colorado can do it, because Colorado by itself is the only real beneficiary of that. And unfortunately, the banks, majority being outside of Colorado, aren't going to benefit because they're currently benefiting from the illegal war on drugs that they're profiting from. So until we can actually present to them a business plan that shows them how they can profit in lieu of what they're doing now, I find it difficult to believe, but who knows? Just like everything else that's been happening over the years, let the people speak, let the politicians act, and let's just see where the cards fall. California Cannabis Coalition, no more to be said. Vote November 4th. That's right, don't forget to vote. And do we really have to remind people? I'm not talking about presidential elections and all that other nonsense, but issues that are actually affecting your local area, your municipality, your city. These are issues that are real. The presidential elections are not real issues, and they're not issues that will affect you. So remember, this November 4th, we all place ourselves in danger to one degree or another when we stand up, but we place our children and our grandchildren in even greater danger when we don't. Cannabis.org reporting their own post. Republican Representative Dana Rohrabacher, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, from California, may be our biggest ally in Washington. He has repeatedly pushed for rescheduling, and on Friday gave an impassioned address to the U.S. House of Representatives, calling on them to tell the truth, end the prohibition on cannabis, and allow scientists to study it. For Christ's sake. And doctors to prescribe it, of course. He cites all the recent polls that show Americans widely are in favor of legalizing cannabis, as well as their belief that cannabis laws cost the public more than they are worth. Would you support legalizing cannabis in your state? Can't believe we're still having these same conversations and arguments. Moving on. Drug possession laws posting. The only question now is how much longer should the patients wait for the politicians? DEA seizes Kentucky's hemp seeds despite congressional legislation. This could be problems. We'll keep up on it and find out what exactly is going on, but it's always an issue when the local state allows something from their own state constitution or legislators and the federal government comes in and trumps in. That causes problems, even if they're the same politically or ideology, even if they're the same, it's just a power issue. So we'll see what happens. This issue specifically was about the DEA seizing batches of seeds that were intended to be part of a launch for Kentucky's legal hemp industry following congressional legislation. Kentucky bluegrass. You know, most all states can grow, some better than others, and those type of states could grow some great hemp. And here we are preventing it. And why? I don't know. Is it stupidity or are they just liars? Are the politicians stupid where they honestly believe hemp is dangerous, or are they just liars because they know they're protecting other industries' interests at heart? You be the judge on that one. Show Me Cannabis sharing a link about Missouri, Kentucky, Missouri, the Midwest, and the heart. I don't know what you call it. The Appalachians? I'm not really sure. I'm from Colorado. I don't know much about history. I'm from Colorado. I don't know much about other parts of the U.S. or worlds, but Missouri now is looking at decriminalizing cannabis, trying to get a bill sent to the governor. We'll follow that and see what happens. But it's all following like a house of cards, dominoes, whatever your metaphor. Cannabis Destiny reporting another article that just confirms what is happening every day around the world. The U.S. Deputy Czar, Drug Czar specifically, openly stated pot is less dangerous than alcohol. Hello, Mr. Obvious. Well, there you go. Little by little, politicians, business leaders, upstanding individuals in the community, we're all coming forward and we're standing up for not just rights, but for just what is right. Hey, iCannabis Radio. Here's a link that we saw a couple weeks ago. 3 months since legalizing marijuana. Here's what Colorado looks like. If you didn't see that article, it's kind of interesting. And again, it's just confirming what we all knew. The world didn't explode. Time didn't go backwards. And chimpanzees didn't fall out of the sky. So why is hemp so important? Why are so many people talking about hemp? Because we're in the middle of a global climate crisis. There is global pollution and contamination happening all over the world, and as a result of that, it's affecting our health, it's affecting our environment, and more articles are starting to write about it. Naturalnews.com is writing about GMOs and how chemical agriculture releases billions of tons of carbon into the atmosphere. Because the traditional way of farming that pretty much has not changed that much, other than the advancement of technology, the actual method of farming, of using mass amounts of land, mass amounts of water, and yeah, there's some modification and there's some high yield crop going on, but it's still using water in over excess amounts. It's using land in over excess amounts, and it's dependent completely on things like artificial chemicals and nutrients to feed it. It's going to be the cannabis industry. Mark my words. It will be the cannabis industry, and probably here in Colorado first, that retrains and re-educates farmers how to get us food in a less expensive and less polluting manner. And we've talked about this on other shows, and we're going to keep talking about it because this is important. Agriculture is important to our lives, obviously, because we have to eat. But just because we have to eat doesn't mean we're going to destroy the environment at the same time. So I think we really need to pay attention here, because there's something to be said when an indoor grower who's growing hemp can take a closet or maybe a back room and produce yield year round, right? 24 hours a day, 12 months out of the year, growing and producing their cash. So when a farmer is stuck to seasonal weather conditions and other types of extreme costs like water, land, and fertilizer, there's an issue that comes up about sustainability. How are we going to sustain ourselves? Now, everybody knows about entrepreneurs and cannapreneurs, but this whole idea that I talk about, the cannapreneur, is kind of the idea I was talking about years ago with the social entrepreneur. That the social entrepreneur is not just somebody who focuses on a single bottom line, somebody who takes one single goal, one single bottom line of creating wealth from capital and increasing profit, and discarding all other goals and objectives. Whereas the socialpreneur says, yes, profit is an objective, but we also have additional bottom lines we're trying to meet. And that's what makes him a socialpreneur. So the socialpreneur is, in a sense, the cannapreneur, because we're doing exactly that. We're following that same path. We're saying, yes, we're trying to make a living. Yes, we're trying to make profit. And yes, we're trying to produce the product that everybody wants to consume. But at the same time, we want to show people how they can do it in ways that are cheaper, more efficient, and just healthier for us. Because mega farming, mass farming, and the big farms out there that are dominating are very expensive, and they're very polluting. And I don't think anybody really knows where their food comes from. Just like you don't know where your cigarette comes from, you don't really know where your alcohol comes from. So keeping farming local for cannabis is important, because just like I want to know the food that I'm putting into my body, where it comes from and what's going into it and how it's being regulated and produced, I want to know that the cannabis I'm putting into my body is also under the same watchful eye of the individual that's watching out for the consumer, not just making sure it's cheap. Because remember, profit is not the single bottom line here. It's one of them. But I want to make sure it's not full of contaminants. I want to make sure it's not being grown in areas that are toxic. I want to make sure that the process they're using to grow it is not contaminating the earth and the sky around it. And I want to make sure that it's something we can do year-round, regardless of snow or rain or hail or any other crazy weather we have in Colorado. I want to know that the only thing that can take down our grow houses are going to be a fire, I guess. I think that's our big natural disaster here in Colorado is fires. And then every now and then we get hit with the big snow. But if you have a well-constructed greenhouse in a well-protected area and it's hooked up and it has everything it needs, there's no reason understand why you shouldn't be growing product year-round and doing it on fractions of a dime. I want to know that about my cannabis. I want to know that about my food. I want to know that about my water. I want to be part of my community in the sense of knowing where it's coming from, going to see it, going to participate in its growth, and then being able to participate in its profits. Because in the end, it is about profit. I mean, we're not communists, for Christ's sakes. We're trying to make a profit. We're just also trying to live a life that's sustainable and healthy for our children. And we're trying to show people that you can make a profit by doing things that are good and healthy also. And that's really what it comes down to. And that is all the news you need to know this week. And that was Twin News, This Week in News, your weekly source for up-to-date cannabis. This week's show is brought to you by HMO Plus for all your growing needs. Visit them at www.hmopluss.com.
Stop on the way to outer space. Get there young, we can keep up with this hurried pace. No way, but up from here. A little bit higher and you can see clear. A strange transition from blue to black. That'll make you always wanna come back. If you want to know just what's in store, gaze into the black hole and you will see a fantastic opportunity. If you want to know just what it's for, gaze into the black hole and you will see a total green smog in space oddity. In the dark room on the planet Mercury, no speed limit, no sign of human company, no word but desolate can describe your landscape, and no one seemed to be able to tell me just how the shirt suddenly made. If you want to know just what's in store, gaze into the black hole, you will see a fantastic opportunity. If you want to know just what it's for, gaze into the black hole, you will see.
I'm in Chicago, just right outside in a suburb called Northbrook.
And who are you with?
OG Distribution, makers of the Happy Sig.
All right. Well, let's...
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem at all. I appreciate it. So this is very interesting. The more I talk to people outside the state and listen to what they think is happening here in Colorado versus being in the state and talking to people who are actually in the industry. I'm having a blast doing it and learning about all the companies. And the Cannabis Cup was a lot of fun, just seeing all those different companies out there. How did you guys do? Was it a successful show for you?
It was great. We started actually a few days before by doing the Vape show, which was at the Denver Mart as well. Just we were inside as opposed to outside in the medicating area where we were for the cup. But we started with the B2B aspect of it, and then we moved on and sold to the public and pretty much sold out of all of the product that we brought with us. So it was great for us. We'll definitely be back next year for sure. We love Denver too. So
now, are you a owner in the company, or what is your?
I am. There are three of us. I'm technically the president, but there are three equal partners.
Okay, and you founded and started this company with those partners. How long ago?
It's been a year.
Oh. Okay.
It was May of last year that we started the company. But it's based off my partner's success in the e-cigarette business. One of my partners is one of my best friends, and we grew up together. And he started an e-cigarette business in 2009. And I came to him about 2 years ago, and I said, "Why aren't we making an e-cigarette that does everything?" This is before really vaporizers were anything other than like the Volcano. And he said, "Well, why don't we?" So we kind of took some of the knowledge that he had and went over to his manufacturer in China and told them what we wanted to do. And they sent us a bunch of different designs and samples, and I said, well, I like this on this one, and I like this on that one, and I like this on that one. Let's kind of make a combination of all of that, and we ended up with the Happy Stick.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. So you actually designed what you're selling here. You didn't just find a product that you liked and then became a reseller. You actually designed and took this to a manufacturer in China and went through the whole process.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, but there were only there's two different types of technology that you can use on vaporizers, more or less. A threaded 510 or a micro or an ellipse style, as they call it, which ours is the micro design, which is just a plug-in battery, as opposed to the twist. So we took that design, which, there were other micro batteries, but then we decided that we wanted to have something that did dry herbs, concentrates, and liquids. This is pretty much before any of the micro pens had any of that. Similar designs to ours are like the Micro G and the Cloud, but, even almost to this day, they are just for concentrate.
I don't really understand how vape pens and vaporizers work from a technical design standpoint. I understand they're heating up the product to the temperature that is allowing vaporization to happen. But when you talk, what were the two terms you used? There's two different types of pens, you said?
So there's two main styles of batteries.
Okay.
There's a 510 or Ego twist, let's just call it. So it's basically just a battery with a threaded design at the top of the battery where you can twist on your tank, whether that's for liquid or dry or concentrate. And then the other is like a two-prong design, which is like ours, where you would take your tank and you'd literally stick it right onto your battery with a two-prong connection.
And what it's doing is the battery is creating the entire tube on the inside to heat up, or a coil is heating up?
It's heating up, so the battery is heating up the coil that you're attaching to it. So you're attaching a little piece to it with a conduit, let's just say, and two metal prongs on the bottom. Those metal prongs touch the other two metal prongs, making their conduction, which allows for a current, if we're getting technical, to run through the coil, which surrounds a ceramic rod, which heats up and vaporizes your product.
So the type of technical I want to get into is helping people understand what's safe, pricing. When we're buying vaporizers, I've heard a lot about plastics heating up versus metals and coils versus ceramics. So I want to help people understand how to make better purchasing decisions, and then ultimately what is better for their health, not just their pocketbook, but what's better for their health. If they're trying to vaporize in the first place, it's probably because they're trying to avoid maybe smoking combustible flowers or something else. So can you walk us through the process a little bit about what people should look out for as far as pricing? If they see a price too good to be true, it probably is, kind of deal. Help us understand with plastics versus ceramics and metals. And
totally get it. Absolutely. So look, anybody can go on eBay and they can purchase a vaporizer straight from somebody in China, and not get any kind of warranty, and it's going to be a battery inside of it. Who knows what type of material that battery, how good of a quality that battery is, because let's remember, a battery is only going to last a certain amount of time before it dies. We give people a 1-year warranty on our batteries, and we happily replace those batteries for people. If you're using my product that much, I'm happy to replace the battery for you within the year for free. You're not going to get that with anything that you buy from an auction site like eBay or straight from China that doesn't have a brand, let's say, behind it. And a lot of people do buy those, and they don't mind just spending, let's say, $20 on one pen with one coil and a charger. And it might last them a few months, it might last them a few weeks, and they're okay spending $20 every few months. Or you can spend $80, get, 2 vaporizers, which come in our kit. You get a black one and a silver. You get 3 of the different heating elements, one for dry, one for concentrates, and one for liquids. And then, the most important part, aside from obviously getting a charger and a dabber and a brush and all that, it's the 1-year warranty. That's the biggest thing here. Most people's complaints is, I bought a vaporizer, and I had it for 2 weeks, and it broke. Mm-hmm. Or I bought a vaporizer, I had it for 2 months, and it broke. That's the first thing you want to look out for. Buying it from a company that's going to give you a warranty, because you're buying a battery. Okay. And no matter how cheap it is, it's still a battery. You know, it's like, oh, but I only spent $20. Well, you can do that every 3 months, and then in a year you spent $100. You know?
What should they look out for as far as the product itself? Should they avoid plastic vaporizers altogether? Or?
And what do you mean by plastic?
Well,
so heating elements should never be made out of plastic. I mean, our
not the heating element, but the casings, because plastic would indicate that it was glued together, and when a casing is slowly heating up over time repeatedly, that glue is going to eventually start to heat also. Whereas the metal casings are typically either somehow bolted, screwed in, or mechanically put together versus using a glue or adhesive.
We've had batteries. People have been using them for a year. I haven't had anybody return one to me for the casing coming off of the battery. And I know our casings are part, composite, so they're part metal, part hard plastic. But we haven't had any come back for coming apart from the battery.
Okay.
The biggest thing that you should probably worry about is what your heating element is made out of.
The coil itself.
Because the coil and the surroundings. What's that entire dish made out of that's heating to, ours heats to 409 degrees, which is the highest end of vaporization. 409,
that's the Fahrenheit temperature a vaporizer ideally works past that?
Our vaporizer. That's what our vaporizer heats to.
Oh, okay.
Some have a variable, some heat to lower. It all depends on what that vaporizer is made for. But ideally for us, since ours is being used for 3 different substances, we needed it to be a little bit hotter so that it would be able to be used for all 3.
Okay.
And it keeps the cost down with it not being a variable voltage vaporizer. The coil is heating up.
Okay. Is it directly touching then the product, or is it using it like a conventional oven where it's heating up the entire chamber and then the vaporization is happening when the inhale of the breath comes through?
So you're holding a button. Okay. The button is heating up the element, and the element is then heating up your product.
I'm baffled to how. Have you seen these non-button type ones where you just drag it? I'm still not completely sure how those function, what they're using, what the whole mechanics is there. It's
like an e-cigarette.
Your breath itself is just enough to vaporize the liquid, or is it a powder?
Your breath is what is activating the battery to start. It's almost like your breath is the depression of the button.
Okay, so you just cleared up many months I've spent thinking about how those things worked, because I couldn't figure out how they were actually getting something to come out of it unless it was already
it's still
like
a battery.
Powder. Okay.
No, it's still a battery on there, and if that battery is dead, you'll pull on it and it'll just blink saying, "You're not going to get anything, buddy. Plug me in."
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, now I get it. So it's not magic. It's
nope.
It's just
totally not magic. It's more magical than holding down a button, but it is not total magic.
Now, how did you get into this business? Did you come from a line of engineering or sales? Where were you before this? You're only a year in, so I assume you were doing something prior to this.
I was running the sales team for a medical ultrasound company in Chicago.
Okay, so you had experience.
And I have experience in the medical field. I spoke to a lot of doctors about medical marijuana because it was coming along in Illinois, and saw that kind of the whole country was going the way of medical marijuana, and that doctors, when they're going to prescribe that medication, they're going to ask the patients to vaporize the product. Mm-hmm. None of them want them to combust, because who wants to get lung cancer because they have stomach cancer, right? We're going to kind of follow along and say, Doc, maybe let them know that the Happy Cig is out there and they could use us for anything that you prescribe.
And what is the current status in Illinois or Chicago with medical or recreational?
Illinois went legal. It's on the books as of January 1st of this year, but it is not in action. The first seed has not gone into the ground yet.
For medical, it's on the books, or for recreational?
Medical.
Okay.
And now they're trying to actually make it so that they want recreational to come through now. We just had a whole thing, I don't know, a week or two ago, where they said, why don't we just go recreational at the same time as medical and nip all of this in the bud?
Right.
But who knows if they'll get the backing behind it.
Well, you might as well at this point.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot more difficult here. It's going to be a 4-year pilot program here. They're going to allow for 60 dispensaries in Illinois with 22 grow facilities, and those 60 dispensaries have to buy from those 22 grow facilities, and they're going to track it to the 10th of a gram. So if you have a bud that falls off the table and you don't know about it, they're going to fine you.
But there currently isn't any operating dispensaries in the Chicago area?
Zero.
So what is your business strategy as far as location? Are you looking to move closer to where there's operating dispensaries in Washington?
Not at all.
No? Okay.
We don't necessarily market our product towards the use of marijuana. We market it as a vaporizer for dry herbs, concentrates, and liquids. People are going to use our product everywhere, no matter what the law, and we don't have to be necessarily closer to a recreational or more lenient medical state to be more successful. We're in, hundreds of stores to the east of Illinois, many of which are not medical at all, and we do very well in them. So, states like Texas and Maine and Florida, where you would think are much more conservative, we do great in them.
So your end user is just the individual e-cigarette user or possibly vaporizer user, but it's the individual, not business to business.
Well, most of our business is done through retail, through distribution. We sell to distributors that then put us into stores, but most of our stores are non-rec states or even non-medical states. Our biggest distributors in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to be the last state to go down for medical. They'll be the last ones, but that's our best state. We do more business in Texas, I think, almost as much there as we do in Illinois. We're in Illinois.
So the majority of people buying, I would assume, are buying for the e-cigarette, the tobacco. Seems to be what's
No. I mean, maybe, but the distributor that carries us in Texas sells strictly and primarily into head shops. Like Planet K in Texas is a head shop. There's 16 of them. They have 6,000 SKUs. Their first 8 best-selling SKUs are legal highs and detoxes, and we're number 8.
You're number 8. Wow.
So out of 6,000 SKUs, we're their most profitable non-legal high or detox.
And where can people find your products? From the website, Facebook? Where do you prefer people?
Yep. People can go to thehappysig.com and then link out to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and see pictures and videos of all of the different things that we've done in the last year. But yeah, thehappysig.com or their local head shop. And if we're not in their local head shop, ask them to call us so they can carry us.
This is your full-time gig? Is this what you do full-time?
Yeah, I travel at least two or three times a month to different events.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, we just did Mac Miller at South by Southwest. We're coming out with, we're still working on it, but we're going to be coming out with a Twista vaporizer, the world's fastest rapper.
Like he's going to put his name on it? He's going to put his name on it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. He'll put his name on it and endorse it.
Cool. I mean, they always say celebrities are expensive, but definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, he's going to work to get the name out, and he'll make a piece of the pie.
I like the kit here. The kit looks very all-encompassing. $79.99. It seems very reasonable compared to some of the other, single pens I've seen.
Yeah, and you get 2 in mine.
Yeah, I see that, and it has the chambers for all 3, the concentrates and the flower. And now, is it a temperature adjusting depending on which chamber's in there? So it's all the same temperature.
409 at all times.
409 at all times. Sounds like that's a good tagline.
No, it's don't worry, vape happy.
That's the official tagline of the company?
That's the official trademark slogan of the Happy Fig.
Now, how receptive is the Chicago area to what you're doing? I mean, here in Colorado, the cannabis industry is a little more accepted in the general public, and when you talk about it on the street, what's it like in your area?
I haven't gotten any negative reception from anybody, really. Nobody said, this isn't welcome here, let's just say. So, yeah, it's great. People love it. People think that it's great. For those that don't get it right away, look at it as a cessation tool to stop smoking,
right.
And everybody else that does get it, well, if they get it, then they're cool with it.
And I think there's more than enough people who are using it to stop smoking. And I mean, I have quite a few friends who use e-cigarettes. to stop smoking. And here in Colorado, a pack of cigarettes close to $5 or so.
Here they're 11. Yeah, a pack of
insane.
cigarettes is $11 in Chicago.
That's insane.
Yep. So lots of people are trying to quit smoking, and we get emails from people, I would say every couple of weeks, saying, I bought the Happy Cig, thank you, I quit smoking cigarettes.
Now, what about these news reports? Have you heard these over the last couple months, these kind of single articles that come out here and there talking about potential health risk of e-cigarettes and that the chemicals might be worse for you than what's in a cigarette? Have you seen any of these articles?
Yeah, of course. They're completely unfounded. The FDA is not regulating e-cigarettes yet, so it is completely the Wild West. And I'm sure that there are people who are making e-juice in their bathtubs or in their kitchens and selling it in their vape shop. That might not be good for you.
Right.
But if you're buying it from somebody who's making it, like, my partners, they're in the e-cig business. They make their own juice. It's called Just Juice, made in a pharmaceutical laboratory with all FDA-approved ingredients that are food grade. The only real chemical in there is the nicotine, and nicotine is basically just is bad for you as caffeine when you don't include anything else. When you're smoking a cigarette, most everything that is bad about it, but when you're having an e-cigarette, the bad part of it is the nicotine.
So when you get suppliers to send you their products of oils or whatever people are putting in for tobacco replacement, where are they getting their stuff from?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're buying a juice that's made in the United States, and make sure you're buying it from, you can look up, and there are vapor publications. One in particular is called Vapor Digest, and they, talk about the FDA rulings, and they talk about which liquids out there, like in this recent issue, the 5 shining stars of USA e-liquid manufacturing. Mm-hmm. Which ones are ISO, which ones are certified GMP, which ones are part of the American E-Liquid Association, which is AMSA. You want to look for those things. If you are ingesting something, you want to make sure it's made in the lab and passes whatever rules they put in place for themselves, at least for now, until the FDA steps in.
Right.
And there's only 5 to 10 companies that do that, out of the hundreds and hundreds that make a juice.
Well, I mean, there's the whole argument of regulation versus free and open markets. Will the market on their own?
There should be some type of regulation here.
Yeah, so you're a supporter in regulation, whether we're talking
Everybody in our industry is, just not over-regulation.
Right.
Yes, make sure that they're in child-proof bottles. Children shouldn't be drinking this stuff because it looks like it's made out of watermelon. Yes, it should be made in a controlled environment, not made in someone's house. Those things should be put in place. We totally agree with that. But it shouldn't be so that you can't smoke an e-cigarette inside because the water vapor people think is bad for you.
Right. Well, I mean, I've seen a couple of these things where the drag that you can take off of them is like a huge cigar-type billowing smoke that comes out of them.
Oh, there's cloud chasers out there, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, even if it's not bad for me, I don't know if I would still want to be sitting in a restaurant next to some dude that's, blowing a cloud.
No, and I would totally understand you shouldn't be able to smoke sitting at your table while people are eating next to you, but I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do it at a bar.
Right. Yeah, I guess if the bar owner feels responsible enough to serve alcohol to people, they're probably responsible enough to regulate their own, smoking policies indoors.
Yeah, exactly. And, fine, you're not allowing smoking, but vaporizing is completely different. It dissipates within seconds.
I think this is going to be a huge industry. I think vape pen, regardless of what we're talking about, whether it's tobacco or cannabis, I think more and more we're going to be seeing it. We're going to see it more in the mainstream. I think the next 3 years is really going to be the vape pen or the e-cigarette domain. But here in Colorado, we see it where the professional that's coming back to cannabis doesn't necessarily want to be hitting from a bong, hitting from a pipe or even smoking a joint. But the vaporizers and the e-cigarettes really allow for a discrete manner of smoking and consumption. So I really see anybody that's in this industry now is only going to excel and succeed with this industry, as long as you keep serving a great quality product. And it looks like you guys have a great product here.
Well, and that's what we're hoping for, and I appreciate that. But yeah, it's definitely going that way. People are a lot more health conscious now than they were 5, 10, 15 years ago. More green, more health conscious. People are a lot less people smoking traditional cigarettes now. So it's now on the decline, and I'd say within the next 10 years, e-cigarette use will overtake traditional tobacco use in the United States.
Absolutely. And probably as it should from all standpoints. Health.
Nobody should be smoking. I mean, smoking, especially cigarettes. Cigarette smoke should be done. Everybody knows that if you smoke it long enough, you're either going to get emphysema or lung cancer or something, or possibly die. There's no good health benefits from smoking. But vaping, there haven't been studies long enough to see what it does to you health-wise. But you can't say that it's any worse for you than smoking cigarettes.
Right. And definitely from a public standpoint, maybe for the individual, we don't know if it's any worse or better, but from a public standpoint, it's definitely better because the secondhand smoke argument becomes very irrelevant when we start talking about new technology and devices for smoking consumption. And who knows? I mean, in 3 years, the whole concept of what it means to get product A into your body may come in a form that we haven't even thought about yet. So
I mean, listen, there were no vaporizers 3 years ago, so you could have said that 3 years ago, and you'd be right. Yeah, I'm sure there will be advances in technology every year, every month, and as they advance, we'll advance. We're not going to keep doing the same thing. If there's something better out there, we'll go to 2.0, 3.0, and so on.
Exactly. Are you involved in your own research and design and development of new products?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as I see something out there, I ask my manufacturer about it, what he knows about the technology, what he thinks, and we talk about it. I speak to my manufacturer, and then he speaks to his engineers almost every day. We change something about our product all the time. Like our dry herb chambers that we just got in this last shipment are all one piece on the outside. They were two. We just had a little piece on there that would sometimes slide, and it would cover up the air hole. And I said, well, you got to fix it, because if even 1 out of 100 people are having this problem, I don't want this problem. So they just took it off and made it twice as thick and made it one piece. And, I ate that cost. I'll always make it better. If I see an ongoing or recurring issue, I make things better, and I ask them what they see out there to make things better, because they see, the people in China, they see what's going on way before we do.
Right, because they get all the blueprints.
I get solicitation emails, probably a dozen a day, from other manufacturers in China wanting to make our next product for us. Right. And they'll send us their catalog lists with 60 different types of design. It's crazy how quickly you could make something today, and by the time it comes out, you're already updated.
Yeah, but I mean, that's great. I mean, as far as a company goes, I think your attitude is definitely on track, and as long as you maintain that intention of business, the products will always change and always develop, and for better or for worse, the product will always change. But I think the intention of the owners and the workers behind it, and it sounds like really people just need to stick with you as a company, because you're looking to make sure that the customer gets the best product, and you're always going to keep developing that product. So I definitely
absolutely. I mean, listen, if I'm up and we get a support email at midnight and I see it come through, I'll answer it at midnight. I'm not going to wait. I want to make sure that they're getting their answer while they're still sitting in front of their computer after they just finished typing it out. And people respond and go, oh my God, I just wrote this 3 minutes ago. I can't believe you guys are responding. But that's how I want to keep it in this business. Whoever reads that email, make sure you respond to it immediately. I mean, literally within minutes. If somebody in this company is awake, you will get a response from one of us. That's how we want to keep it. Otherwise, bad customer service is the first thing that's going to take the company out of this thing. And, that's where we want to be, just making sure we're always taking care of our customers. Because we're, especially me, I'm very passionate about this industry and lifestyle, I should say. So I know how it is to be a consumer in this field and lifestyle, and I want to make sure all my people are happy,
Very good. Well, that sounds excellent. And I don't want to put your customer service to the test, but do you have an email that you would like to give out, or should we just do the website?
If anybody wants to email us, you want to try it out, support@thehappysig.com. You'll always get an answer. Sometimes it's for me, sometimes it's from one of our partners or somebody else that's in support. But if one of us are up and we see something come through, you'll definitely hear from one of us. So support at thehappysig.com anytime.
And all other information and products can be found at the webpage, thehappysig.com. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah. We're The Happy Sig on Facebook. We have our page on there, 3 different words, all one word on Instagram and Twitter, The Happy Sig, thehappysig.com as well.
Well, very cool, man. Hey, I appreciate your time. It's been very informative, and I appreciate your contribution to my show here, the Cannabis Community Project, and everybody that's listening. And I encourage everybody that's listening to check out your website, because I'm on here, and it looks cool, and the products look cool, and the pricing is definitely affordable from everything else I've seen. So I want to encourage everybody to find you, and I want to check back with you in a few months if I can, just to kind of see how business is moving along and what new products we can talk about.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, and thanks for having us. It was a pleasure. Look forward to speaking with you soon.
Excellent, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Cool.
Once, kick it twice, pretty soon you're feeling nice. Here's a piece, here's a smoke. Don't forget to take a puff, pass it around to keep it down. You know my lady's still in town. Pass it to the homie who's been living down below me. Oh, you know the shop tip, yeah, it's a perfect way to show me this little place in outer space is way beyond the human race. It seems as though the indicates the population's gone to waste. Even if I count the days, the answer in the ounce grays, the beard is growing on my face, but I ain't giving up the chase. Oh. This is the last stop on the way to outer space. Get there, yeah. If we can keep up with this hurried pace, the way but up from here. A little bit higher and you can see clear. A strange transition from blue to black that'll make you always wanna come back. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have even more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Kush Common, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.